All right. So welcome to the Artist Live channel. DeeDee here today, and I'll be kind of going along with you and making tiny totems. So I thought that that was kind of a cute name for these little things. And I know that we're all always kind of searching to find our style and what really makes us unique and different, and along with being inspired by other people too, kind of pulling little things from different artists and maybe classes that we're taking and things like that, and then just making them our own. And so that's kind of what these are. They are like the epitome of everything that I love. So they're small pieces of artwork. They're made out of recycled wooden blocks. I am the marketing and artistic director for a stamp manufacturer called Viva Las Vegas Stamps, located here in Las Vegas, Nevada, US, for those of you who are from other countries. Thank you so much for being here, by the way, everyone. And sometimes we get when we get blocks in, we order them in a huge, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Does everyone else have sound? Somebody just said they didn't have sound. So I just want to double check that there's sound for everyone else. And then maybe Costume Diva, it's on your end. Not that you can hear what I'm saying, but Karen's listening and Yasmin's listening, and they'll let me know if it's not working. I'm gonna go back until someone okay. So sound is working. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to what I was saying. I'm the marketing and artistic director for Viva Las Vegas Stamps, and when we order wood blocks, we produce rubber stamps, and we mount them on wood blocks. So sometimes when we get blocks and they have like chips in them or cracks or like dents, and we just like to keep our inventory perfect. So it's inventory control basically, and we just throw the bad blocks into a big bin, and then we do whatever with them. Sometimes we give them to people to burn in their fireplace or things like that. Well, recently I have kind of been collecting them and picking them up and keeping them for myself. And so sometimes like this one just has like a little knot here. You can see that, and there's like a little hole in it, but we didn't want someone to get a splinter if they were to be stamping with it. So look at how pristine and perfect this block is. It's awesome, right? And I couldn't leave these behind because they come in all kinds of sizes. We have like long skinny ones and big fat ones and all kinds of sizes because of all the different kinds of sizes of stamps that we produce. So I took them. I'm not giving them to anybody to burn in their fireplace anymore, anything like that. These babies are mine now. And so that brings me back to this part. What I love about these, all the different things, I just love everything they are. So they're recycled wooden blocks, and they're all my favorite like vintage finds and goodies, and even like the mass produced pieces. Like these are the Tim Holtz tiny enamel plaques. This is a vintage ruler, like a sewing ruler. I know it has a specific name. Tape measure. It's a tape measure, a vintage tape measure. I did hand stitching on it. Behind it is some piano roll, and I'll show you more about that in a minute. There's muslin on here. I scribbled with some pencil. This is an Italian text. Let's see if I can do this backwards, right? This is an Italian text. My art sister, Michelle, just got back from an 18-day trip in Italy, and she brought me some like actual vintage Italian books that I can use in my mixed media. There's masking tape and rusty twine and buttons. And then this is rusty fabric that I rusted myself. There's some sari silk ribbon and some stitching, and then this is a rusty star that I used to dye this rusty fabric. How cool is that? And then it just wraps around and knots in the back. So that's what we're going to kind of work towards today with some of my other favorite supplies and vintage finds and goodies and things like that. And I'm going to go over a couple more things that I have. I just kind of have a pile of stuff that I love that's really going to stay in this this sort of mood or sort of theme that I'm working in. And two, like if you have like funny kind of little vintage goods or finds and you need a way to use them, this is a really great way. And I called them tiny totems because I can just line these up on a shelf and they look so adorable together. So I can't wait to have like 30 of these things just displaying some of my favorite vintage pieces and manufactured goods too. Like they don't have to be all vintage finds. Like this rusty star comes in a package. It's like a little garland at Hobby Lobby. This is one of the Tim Holtz plaques. Like buttons come, you know, off a shirt and out of pants and dresses and things like that. So not everything has to be a vintage find. But then also we're mixing vintage finds, handmade goods, recycled art, because I can't let anything go to the trash or be burnt in a fireplace, and mass-produced goods. So some other things that I have, I brought this guy out. This is kind of like the Tim Holtz bingo markers, but this one was by a different company, and they're a little bit different size, and they came black. Now, I don't have exactly the company they're made by. It might be the Bottle Cap company. I'm not sure, but so I have this guy because I love numbers, and sometimes these little things remind me too of houses a little bit, little houses. Look, I have this shimmery kind of I call it like mermaid lace. Like look at how cool it is. It's super vintage, and this is the last piece that I have. It's a little bit sad that it's almost gone, but that's how it goes with vintage finds and things like that. So I love this. I have some coconut fronds, or not, I always say fronds. I'm sorry, coconut fibers. Fronds would be like the big leaves right off the tree, but these are coconut fibers. I have, this is a ruler from Seven Gypsies. I actually got this at Tuesday Mornings, which is a discount store. And usually the stuff that they have is just out of season. So I'm not sure if that means that Seven Gypsies isn't making these anymore, but they come in a pack of 4, I think. And it was like $2. So I bought 3 packs of those. So I have a few of those. Here's a vintage find. I bought this off Etsy. It's a little memorandum book. And look at all the vintage handwriting that's in it. And the paper's really yellow and just kind of gross and fun. I love it. Oh, I did bring out some gold foil. So I plan to do some gold foiling today. Kind of show you how I like to foil. I brought some more rusty fabric. I want to mix in metallics. So, that's why I brought the gold foil, and then I have this washi tape. It's white with gold stars. And here's some more of that Italian text that I kind of just ripped up. I have sari silk ribbon. So I don't know if you guys know about sari. I wasn't using it for a really long time, and now I can't stop using it on everything because it's like a shiny muslin almost. It's so cool. It's silk, I mean, but because I bought it in ivory, it just like kind of brings me back to my muslin feeling, and I love it. Anyway, so I have sari silk ribbon. I have a little bit of that. I did bring in a piece of canvas, and I don't know how many we'll get through. I think we'll probably do 4 or 5 in this hour, so I think that would be great. So I did bring a good variety. Here's some canvas, duck cloth, and I have this. Look at this canvas. Isn't this awesome? So it has script on it. I brought a piece of what? Not a piece. I brought some muslin. I also have a couple different like twines and laces and things. This one's by May Arts, and it's a crocheted ribbon. It's gray colored. I have this one, which are little gold bows. Karen, the coconut fibers, actually, that's what I'm putting in your package. I saw you post that you liked them, so I'm sending you some. But these are from a planter. That's it, just from a coconut planter. Yeah, crazy, right? So we have these gold kind of like little bows on a wire. I thought they would be really cute. I did get out some shells and some rocks that we collected the last time I was on the coast. So it was my first time on the Pacific coast. No, I'm sorry, on the North Pacific coast. So that was cool. Our family collected some of those. I have 3 different sizes of masking tape, and actually I have way more than 3, but I brought 3 to use. And what else? Oh, I have some arrows. I thought the arrows would be good. And then I also have this card that the arrows came on. I thought that's really great. I totally have that to use. And I want to show you real quick this piano roll. So this was a new supply, a new vintage supply to me. These are actual, like in a music box, but you would feed these into the piano and then the piano would play. So this is very cool. If you want some of these, you can just search on eBay and Etsy, look for piano roll. That's like exactly what you call it. And so many of them come up. So I use some of that. I've really been enjoying incorporating that into my projects. And I also brought out my Unwow Studio Muffin Tin that has all my small pieces. So I've got them all: banners, hearts, diamonds, gears, puzzle pieces, stars. All those are in here. I thought maybe look at these little bats, Unwow Studio bats. Yeah, so I just brought all kinds of things over and we'll start building and I'll kind of go over some of my tips and tricks. Sound good? All right. So let me move some of this back out of the way. And we'll get started. Okay. So the first thing is first, of course, right? First thing is you can pick a side of your wooden block. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. Everything's backwards. I'm sorry. I'm trying to stay in camera here. So a lot of times also the ones of these that we don't use for stamps have writing on them, and so because we order anywhere from 100 pieces to 150 pieces or sometimes only 50 pieces, and then they, if there's extra on the block, then they just, or on the wood, then they just cut them off for us and throw them in. But they always mark which sizes are which so that we don't have to measure everything when it gets here. So sometimes there's handwriting on a side, and you could either paint over that or you could flip it to the other side and use that side. And I, for this particular project, I really like Liquitex gesso. It's thin because these are already heavy and thick. I didn't want to put a ton of extra thick gesso on them either. So, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to do two, actually I'll do this one like this. So I'm going to do two with writing and two without. So this one has writing, it's just on the back, because sometimes marker is too much and it will always come through the gesso, but we're kind of just trying to base, or I am just basing my project. And by basing, I mean I am giving it kind of a primed base to work on top of. So I'm just going to put some gesso down and paint on it. And these ones I'm trying to cover that funky writing that's on there. And two, depending on what kind of ink was used, and I have no idea because somebody else wrote on these, but depending on what kind of ink is used, it may bleed. And look at how much that's already coming back through. So I am going to cover again, and we'll see how many it takes. The good thing is we don't have to let these dry because I prepped some blocks for us, but I knew I would want to keep making these over and over and over. Oh, hey, Joe, so we're working on little, I'm calling them tiny totems. We're working on these. So if you see, if you go to the Artist Live page, then you can see which pieces. We're making some companion pieces to the totems that I've already done. So I'm not exactly recreating. I'm just keeping them in the theme. So I'm prepping some blocks, I got way too much gesso out. So there we go. And you don't have to cover these completely either. You can leave some of your wood areas showing. Okay, I think those look good. I'm going to swap these for the ones that are dry. All right, so here's a dry one. Here's a dry one. Here's a dry one. Let's move these over this way. And here's where I was saying, like, you could kind of leave some of the wood on the edges. There's a dry one, and there's a dry one. Okay, so I have 5 bases as of now that we can work on. And you can see all the different sizes that our wood blocks come in. And two, like, we've had a lot of people call us up at the stamp shop and they say, like, oh, I just unmounted my stamps. What can I do with all my wood blocks? Like, do you want them? Do you want to reuse them? And one of the things, we don't want to reuse them because they'll already have indexing on them and glue, and we just want like high quality for our wood blocks. So we're not going to reuse anything, but you could do something like this and create like a really great little grouping. I love groupings of smaller things to equal one big thing. I love it so much. But if you don't want to do something like this, find an artist friend who would want your wood blocks, or you could donate them to like a boys and girls club and then they could use them, or a local church or something like that. So there are always options for things. Try not to throw things away. I am totally helping you hoard by telling you not to throw things away. Somebody out there will always take your stuff. So, I don't know where I want to start. I think I kind of want to start with this big one because I haven't done one this big in these themes yet. So, I'm going to pop these ones over to the side and we're going to get to work on this big guy. And now that I'm here, I don't know what I want to do. Okay, so part of it, and kind of just the way I work, is kind of just testing things out and seeing how they're going to kind of work together and layer and build up on top of your base. So I think I have this piece here, and it seems like it's really close to fitting already. So I'm going to get some scissors. And I'm also making sure I have out my matte medium. So this is what I use as adhesive. Some people like gloss gel, but I like matte medium because then it doesn't leave a shiny surface. I almost never work with shiny things in general. So if I were to have like a shiny spot on my project, it would look a little weird. So I have my matte medium out. I'm going to set that up in the corner, and then I'm going to use some scissors. And here's kind of a little tip or trick. Most fabrics, not most, I guess, you should just test it to know, but a lot of fabrics will rip, and I really like that torn, grungy, kind of funky edge, and it really just goes along with everything else I have. So I put a little snip in the cloth, and then I just tear and rip. And I really like this round piece right here. Oh, I have dog hair on my on my fabric. It's kind of been around the house a bit. So I really like this round circle that I'm getting from this piece. So that's what I'm going to work on putting. And I'm going to kind of trim my fabric down to size. And I want some of the white to show behind. That's just what I like. So I'm going to snip a little lower here. Let's see how. Yeah, not quite enough, I think. Let's see if this will work. Nope. What happened there was I was too close to the other side, and so it just tore out. There, that looks good. How's that look? What do you think? I think we'll get rid of this at the top. There. Okay. Now my white border is showing, so I didn't lose that kind of recycled section or that recycled base that's happening. And then I just tore my fabric to fit, and I have my matte medium, and I want to pull in some Italian text. I really love these rulers. Aren't they nice? And I haven't cut them yet, so I think I'm gonna cut one. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, that's kind of So if we do a little bit on that side and a little bit on that side. There we go. That's successful, isn't it? Okay, that looks good there. I'm liking that. And I have this guy. I think I wanted to use him. And, oh, I'm nervous to use this. It's so glorious, isn't it? Okay, I don't think that's going to look very well back there. I might be saying that just because I don't want to use it yet. What are some of your favorite like vintage finds, things that you have, or even some that you've made? Like I made this rusty fabric and it is one of my favorite things to keep on hand all the time. I love it. Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. I need to go grab one thing. I'll be really quick. Okay, so I do a ton of matte medium, but I also like to hand stitch things into place. So this is kind of like, this is my little bin of binding and stitching things. So I have my punch, my Japanese screw punch, which will punch holes in anything. And then I have all my different DMC flosses, my waxed thread, I have some hemp, and then I have really big needles in the bottom. So once I start to getting like fabric on fabric, then I can stitch pieces in, and those too are just another like layer, handmade layer on top of everything we're working on. So I really needed to get this. So thank you for being patient. Oh yeah, look, I have all this fun stuff. I almost forgot I brought these arrows in. So let's pull, I'm gonna pull an arrow out. They have these funky little wires on them. Dang, they're hard to undo. Okay, are you free? You're free. All right, so we got this giant arrow we could use. And the arrow would definitely need to go down with matte medium, but that's not a biggie. No, I like that. Okay. And it doesn't have to be in the layers. Like, he could be down here, which I do like. I'm liking that. I'm liking that. Okay, okay. And I have some of this sari. So this is so cool. Sari ribbon is recycled ribbon from the Middle East, where they like wear those gorgeous saris, the silk dresses and things like that. And this is the stuff that's left over when they're done working on a piece, and they just cut, it's like strips, they cut it into strips and then they sew it together to turn it into this really, really glorious ribbon, and it's all stitched together, and you can do all kinds of things with it. Like you can crochet, and you can, you know, weave with it and all kinds of things like that. And sometimes I like to just tie it onto projects and see how it goes. Oh yeah, that looks good. I think I'll go that way. Like this. And I'm going to put some coconut fibers down. Okay, so I have a plan now. I'm going to get out my matte medium. And a palette knife. And I'm going to put a little bit under here. So that's down. Then I want my coconut fibers. So when it comes to using matte mediums and things like that, it's really great because it takes a long time to dry. So it has time to bond. Yes, yeah, who is supposed to be putting links in? Is that Karen maybe or Yasmin, please? The links are in the event on Facebook, or you can visit my blog, and there are links to most of the products that I used earlier. And then I will also update and post the new ones that I make today with any new supplies that I hadn't listed before. Okay, so you can visit my blog. Just go to DeeDeeCatron.com, DeeDeeCatron, and we'll have a list of supplies there. So I was saying about matte medium, it's really great because it takes a little while to dry, and that gives it time to kind of soak in to all your pieces, all your different layers, and bond them together. So I'm just matte mediating all these babies down. Matte medium-ing. That's totally a verb, I swear. Like this. And I really love getting 3D too. Like, look how chunky this is getting already with all the little pieces sticking off. And then the hard part about metals, even with matte medium, they tend to stick better with a glossy, which I don't really like. So I always find myself kind of like doing something like this where it has a little bit of fabric to it, tied to it, and then I can actually matte medium the fabric down. And I don't have to worry so much about the metal sticking in place. So I'm going to put matte medium right here on the fabric. Lift this up so I can place it. There we go. All right. Okay, and it will take a little while for him to dry, so I'm not going to try to move it around too much, but there's one more. Do you want to see it next to our others, our previously finished ones? Look at how cute they all look together. They're so adorable. I love it. All right, and I'm going to set this to the side to dry, and later, like if I wanted, I could string beads on here, like all kinds of things. I don't have to stop here, although I am loving it. All right. All right, now here's another one. Now this one's long and skinny, which is like this one. Oh, they're actually almost the exact same size. But since I did this one long and skinny, I think I'm going to turn this one up this way, like this. And we kind of just do the whole process again. So I pick some of my favorite things. Now I do want to use this canvas as a base. I do love using the fabric, the rusty fabric, but if you just keep doing the same thing over and over, then they tend to look too close together. So I'm going to change it up and see if, yeah, I like how this looks. I'm going to use some canvas, and I put a little slit in it, and then I'm going to tear it. So it's kind of grungy and distressed, and that will look really great in the middle there. And if I wanted, I could put some gesso here or some paint or something like that. But I'm liking it like this. And kind of just looking over everything I have. If you feel like you want to see something, feel free. I definitely, okay, I want to do a little bit of gold foil. So I think I'm going to do that on this one, and this guy's going to kind of just be what he is. He's not even going to have like a number or anything like that. So I'm going to start by applying some matte medium to the canvas, the back of the canvas. Try not to get it on the kind of fun, funky edges, and I'm going to put it right in the middle, or off center, since that's how it came out. There, straighten that up. Okay, and you can see how flat that's laying now, nice and even and flat with the matte medium. And then I'm going to take this matte medium and kind of scrape it down the middle, but not a lot. Like, I want it to be pretty random. There we go, that looks good. And the reason is because, whoops, sorry about that. And the reason that I want it to be sort of random is because my gold foil is going to stick to wherever I put that matte medium. Oh, what do I have in here? I guess I don't have any little pieces left. So let's go right to the big kahuna here. And I'm going to get out a little paintbrush. And pull up some of this. Not a lot, because I know that I didn't put that much down. Like this. And you just push it down where you put the wet matte medium. And I'm going to let it sit there for a minute while it starts to bond to the matte medium that's down. And then because it's gold foil, I'm going to brush this away, but I know that I'm going to brush it away. So I'm going to have this extra foil. So I might go back to another piece. Let's see. Who do I like? You know what? We're going to do it on one of these because you don't have to put fabric down on everything. So I'm going to get a bit more matte medium and kind of scrape it in here in a couple areas. Yeah, that looks good. And I'm letting this sit. I think that's good. So now, with whatever gold foil I have left, I can take it back over to this block and pounce it down there. And I'm not really wasting that much gold foil. And I say wasting because once it starts to kind of ball up like this, there's not a whole lot you can really do with it. Oh, check it out when I'm brushing away the excess from this piece. Look at how cool that looks. And I'll just brush off the last pieces there. Look, oh, right in the middle. Fancy schmancy. Hi, Corey. Hello, everyone who's here. It looks like there are 18 of you out there. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to press these down. Just make sure that they're really down and adhered. And the thing, too, like, I kind of just go with what I have sometimes. And gold foil actually has a glue, like an adhesive that you can use with it called sizing. But, I'm good. I don't mind using what I have. All right, so now I kind of have two works in progress, both with some fancy, gorgeous gold foil here. One down the middle and then one kind of all over. Look at how they shine. Isn't that great? And shimmer. Shimmer, shimmer, shimmer. All right. Now I can move on. Goodness, there's so much fun stuff. I think I brought out too many supplies. I love it all. What if I have this little arrow, but I also have this. Where am I going to use this? It's going to be hard to use that, I think. Oh, you know what? I think I'll tie a button just right in the middle. That's it. So I have a huge selection of buttons. This is like 1/100th of the buttons that I have. Because at one point I thought, oh my gosh, what if I run out of buttons? Then I'll be really sad. And then I'll have to buy them. So why don't I just buy a bunch now? And then, like everyone else, I ended up with way more buttons than I could ever use. But the fun thing is to kind of go through them, just check out what's happening and finding a fun, like these kind of pearl, these have shanks on them instead. Like, oh no, I don't really like that. I pull these out like this. Oh, I think I like that guy. Ooh, and I really like that one. And sometimes I like my buttons better on the underside than the top side, which I think is funny. There, I like these three together. They're very different. They're similar. We've been teaching Gabe. That's my almost 6-year-old. We've been teaching him words. He said, oh, they're the same but different. So we had to teach him similar. So all these buttons are similar, but each of them is unique. So let me put these others away. There we go. Set those to the side, and then I already know what I'm going to tie them with. And the reason is because I have a lot and I love it. So at the same time that I was rusting my fabric, you tie it with twine. So I kept all my rusty twine as well. And I'm just going to cut up some pieces here. And tie my buttons. Hello, thanks for coming today. And the thing about twines, different kinds of twines have different strengths and weaknesses to them. So like this twine I know is pretty sensitive, so I can't pull very hard on it when I'm knotting it. Oh yeah, look at how cute. And I'm going to do 3. And here, so I also teach art journaling classes. And if you go to my YouTube, just search my name, DeeDee Catron. And if you go to my YouTube, there's a whole section of art journaling videos, and I tend to go over all kinds of things like color theory and design theory and things like that. So as far as design theory goes, your brain, your subconscious is really drawn to uneven numbers and odd things, and that's because there aren't even numbers and like 100% round things in nature. So I'm picking 3 buttons. And that's because subconsciously you'll like it better with 3 buttons. And I will like you liking it, even if it is your subconscious. Sorry about the threading part. I know that's not super fun to sit through. All right, tie the last knot here. Oh yeah, look at how cute that's gonna be. You guys, I know some of the products that I'm using aren't on my links, but that's because I kind of just pulled a bunch of fun things. And oh, bye Karen, thanks for being here. I will have a list of all the products on the next blog post. So I'll get these photographed as soon as we're done with the live show today, and then on my blog I'll have all of the links, okay? So I'll have canvas and all the gesso, and I'll have the gold foil linked and fibers and that kind of stuff. All right, so let's see where we're at now. Oh, we have one more. Quite a cute little collection going on, right? I am totally loving it. And they're also neat. Now these buttons do tend to be a bit similar to that one. So maybe I'll just clip these down a little bit. And I'm not measuring them, just sort of clipping. I don't want too much repetitiveness. Oh yeah, that's already better. Okay. They're not as kind of like long and scraggly as this one, which I really like long and scraggly. Definitely don't get me wrong. But this way, it's not repetitive and we don't have the same stuff happening over and over. All right, so we're on to 5 complete blocks. We have this guy in the works, and I have some more over here dry. All right, yeah, and you know, Joe, really the thing I mentioned in the beginning, and if you have time, definitely go back and give it a look, but my main thing is like a lot of these things I love so much of this stuff, and sometimes I don't want to use it on a big project, or I don't want it to get lost in a background piece or something like that. So then I decided I called these tiny totems because that's exactly what they are to me, and I get to use like all my fun stuff on them, and then they all just sit there as sort of little shrines all to themselves. I have this guy, and then I don't know if I showed you this earlier when I was going over supplies. So this is it's a casting of an actual vintage Charlotte doll that I molded in mold putty, and I'll have links to those too. So I know that the links part is kind of funny, but just join me shortly after, maybe like a half an hour or an hour. Join me after on my blog, and all of my links will be there, and you can see all of my projects that way. But this is a casting of a vintage doll so that I can still have that doll to kind of display somewhere else, but I can also use it as many times as I like. So I have this, and I have this guy, and here are our other blocks. Ooh, I like him there. Yes, him or her or they. It doesn't really matter to me. Oh, you know what? I'm going to use this. Let's get some of this. Like that. And I'm going to distress this. I like to distress mostly everything. And sometimes I got to cut the twine or the fibers on these pieces to really get them to distress. But I don't mind doing that either because I know what it's going to look like when I'm done, and I love it. Oh yeah, so you guys are asking about blocks. So if you have any mounted blocks and you want to unmount them, it's really easy. You just pop them in the microwave for about 3 seconds at a time, and it loosens the adhesive, and then you can just pull the rubber off. So I'm just distressing this now. I love how it looks. It's kind of like a little scraggly nest for my little baby to fit on in. Move that up. Yeah, that's looking good. And they don't have to like all have tan and vintage tones on them. Like this one, I think I'm gonna keep gray and white, and then I'm gonna wrap it with that piece, with that another ribbon. So first, I want to put down my ribbon. So I have matte medium and ribbon. Kind of poke that into the matte medium there. I've got my doll. I'm going to slather the back in matte medium. Like this. And then I've got this ribbon. So these are like little gold bows, and they'll complement that gold foil really well. So I'm going to cut some of that. And wrap my little doll in it like this. Well, it's just not quite long enough. There. Get out some more. Make sure the doll is nice and sturdy. And I did do the matte medium. Yeah, see, maybe that's too many. Off we go. Yeah, that will look good. Okay, we'll go once and twice. And when I use like wires and things, I tend to just twist it in the background, and that's usually good enough. If you're really worried about it, you could always plop a little matte medium down in the back too. There we go. And I like this a lot. Like I would probably put, you know, maybe like a rub-on down here or a rubber stamp. Like one of my favorite VLVS stamps would be really great down there. All right. We are cooking right along. About 15 minutes left here. I haven't done any hand stitching, which I kind of want to show because I really like it. I could also gold foil this doll. That would look really good too. So I'm going to set this to the side, and we'll take a look again right at the end, all the blocks together. I have all these different, let's see, Matt, okay. All right, so here's one of the ones at the beginning that we fresh painted when the page just came up. And I really want to do, I think, some sari. I love sari, and I love hand stitching. And I love pleats. Or right across the band. Or, and I have some text left. Yeah, what if we, let's do that. Okay. I think it'll hold up. I'm going to grab, well, actually, I have this. Okay, so I brought some music text too, not knowing if I was going to really use it, but yeah, okay, so that's the other thing I was going to say. Thanks so much for mentioning it, Jen. Like, you can do these in all types of themes. So the theme that I'm doing it in today is just some of my favorite pieces. But you could do them in a Christmas theme. You could do them in, you know, like an Easter theme. Halloween, little Halloween ones would be cool. If you like nature, you could do a bunch of nature-based ones. How great would they be? Like, you could do all kinds of things with this. Right now what I'm doing is I want to leave this hanging off the edge like this, but so I want to make the edge sturdier. So to do that, I'm just going to layer up some stuff behind it. Yeah, that's good. And that will help make it a bit stronger. And you could use like cardstock or something like that. Would be great, but I don't have any of that right now, and I'm not going to get up again and make you wait, so I'll just do it with some of this. And I'm using the matte medium and sort of just collaging it all together, and that'll be good. There, it's a lot stronger now. Okay, Susan, sorry about that. Yes, it's on record, so I'll have the whole thing recorded, and you'll be able to watch and see it then, okay? Thanks so much for trying to be here. Oh, you know what? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm picking this back up real quick because I want to do some hand stitching to this. So now I'm going to, and I've reinforced it in the back, and I've got my sari ribbon. And since I'm going with grays, I think I'm going to stitch with this gray DMC. I need to grab a needle. And when I do this kind of stitching, I'm using Tandy leather needles, and they just tend to work a bit better for me, and I can fit more, like my thread goes through the needle easier because it's a thicker thread and things like that. So that's why I'm using this. I also don't poke myself as often because it's a giant, giant, giant blunt end. All right, pull that through. And I'm going to start right I'm trying to decide how I want this. I kind of want this to hang off the edge too, but then it's a bit thick, isn't it? So check out some other pieces I have here. I don't really have anything thin. Okay, okay. That's all right. What if we fold it in half? Yeah, I think that will work. Okay, yeah. So I don't want to cover up all my like vintage Italian text, which is so super cool on its own. So I'm just going to fold my sari in half, and I think in the end I'm going to let it hang off the edge, which will be very cool too. And today I'm going to, sometimes I do this and sometimes I don't. It depends on the kind of look I'm going for, but I'm going to knot the end of my DMC, and that will keep it from pulling through while I'm sewing. There we go. That's a good size knot. Fold this in half. And we start hand stitching. Now you can do all kinds of things. You could do like an X stitch or a cross stitch, or you could do a walking stitch, which is where you sort of miss a step. Oops. There we go. We're coming through. Like this. And I think I'm just going to do a walking stitch. So I'm going to go right back in just a little ways over and pull through. And there's one stitch. And then if I fold it over and poke back through like this, and a little hand stitch like this. And I know stitching is not the funnest thing to watch, but that's why I didn't do a cross stitch, because cross stitching takes me way longer. So see how that's going? I'm getting a little off course there, so let's try to correct our angle. Oh, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you're gaining some inspiration here. All right, and one more time. So I was saying earlier, like the odd things, I will try to end this on an odd. So that's perfect because I can just pop in one more stitch since I have 4, and 5 will leave me with an odd number, which again is a design theory, and that's what your brain likes, odd numbers. So I've got this, and I'm gonna tie it up in the back. There we go. And I'm going to leave some hanging off because I like how that looks. And then I want this edge to be about the same length as this one. So it looks like I'm going to cut off an inch or 2 here. And I've got this block. And I was thinking too, I could turn this one sideways. I think I'm going to do that. So turn this sideways, and this is kind of just like at this point, I know I'm not recreating the exact project, but this is the fun. This is part of the fun for me. You know, kind of having fun with my supplies and my products and just being inspired by them. Now, real quick, while I'm putting matte medium down, I definitely want to mention that I am matte medium-ing over the knots too, okay? So the rest of this I kind of want to hang down free, but those knots, I want those knots to be permanent and in place. So I'm going to pull this down here, pull this down here, glue that down, and that's a pretty good base I got going on there now too. So I have these two. I want to finish these up real quick. We have just a couple seconds here, a couple minutes. It looks like 5. We have 5 minutes. Oh, I know. So I'm going to pull some Unwow Studio in for this one for sure. And I have all these stars that I think would be so great. I love stars. So this is my star tattoo. And I think one of these would be perfect right here. Maybe down here. No, right in the middle. I like it. And I could put two on the one on each side too. That would be great. Okay. And I could gold foil stars too if I wanted. So this chipboard, this is from Wow Studio. This is the company that I own, and we manufacture all of this. I'm actually in my workroom filming right now where we do our manufacturing because that's where our work computer is, the good one. And yeah, so they're really sturdy and they hold on to a ton, like a ton of product. So you can, I mean, you can't soak them in water, but you can foil them and paint them and glitter them and gloss them and all kinds of things are chipboards. So if you ever need a really sturdy, whatever, we have all kinds of shapes, but if you need a really sturdy base to work on, get a hold of us. If we don't have the shape you need, we are pretty open to working with people. So yeah. All right, there. Look at how good these are. Okay, I'm gonna stop now because we have just a couple minutes we got left here. So I'm gonna pull this stuff away, clean up this space a little bit, and then show you how all these pieces look together. How's that sound? Okay, so here's one. We didn't get to that one, but I have my little baby. Here's this guy. Here, I don't want the gold right next to each other. Here's this one. And this one. And this one. Oh. There. All right, that's what we have so far. Look at this little collection. All right. So that's it for today. Well, yeah, we did get 4 done, didn't we? Because we had 3. Yeah, so we got 4 done. And I'm going to keep going. I love this so much. I'm probably going to add a little bit of gold foil to these chipboard stars up here. I do want to do a bit of stamping. I have this space underneath the baby to put something. Like, there's still a lot of stuff. And there's a ton of stuff here I didn't even use. Some of the washi tapes, that shimmery kind of mermaid lace. I call it mermaid lace. I have that to use, like all kinds of stuff. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. You can find me, just search my name, DeeDee Catron. It's DeeDeeCatron. So you can go to DeeDeeCatron.com, or I'm on YouTube and Instagram, Facebook, all kinds of places. Definitely like the Artist Live page because there is such good stuff happening. It's always live. You can ask questions, get your questions answered. It's awesome. The group, we have Yasmin, we have Rika, we have Karen, and then Jen joined us a little while ago. So please find the Artist Live Facebook page, like that. And yeah, be back next week. Yasmin, can you tell me who's coming up next week? I forgot to look. Oh, bye guys. Thanks so much. Yes, come back next week. I'm not exactly sure who will be here, but I'm going to look real quick. And yes, so definitely come back next week. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here to see me. I really love showing off some of my favorite things like this, guys. I'll see you again.